Hi class, we're in week 4 of this particular course, Management Information System, and you should have now moved to the Excel component of the course. You have in the course resources folder a sample portfolio, and you should have reviewed at this point at least the Microsoft Word tutorial, which lays out step-by-step instructions. Our assessment required you to perform certain basic tasks in addition to the items that you practiced, you selected and explained throughout over the past 3 weeks on the discussion. So here I walk through with you what the basic document should look like that satisfies the grading requirement for week 3. Very important note here. Pay attention. You will be working with the same portfolio document throughout the entire course. So the next time you submit the portfolio, what you would have done is inserted your Excel documents into the portfolio. You will be submitting a couple of Excel files. You'll be submitting some PowerPoint files. But in the end, your Microsoft Word portfolio will have your week 1 through week 3 Word activities. You will then insert snapshots or screenshots or snips of your Excel activity into the same portfolio and continue on through week 8. So here I have what the basic cover page should look like. We weren't required to insert a pre-formatted cover page. You were required to look at the sample document and essentially mimic that cover page. That's what I have on the screen in front of me. This document hasn't been saved, so the first thing that I will do is save this document following the file naming convention that was provided. And at least this is at least the basic of what that file naming should look like. I'll place this particular file on my desktop just for ease of access. We said it would be last name, so Burke in my case, comma, first initial, BUS160, week number, in this case week 3, core assignment. That would work. This specific will get you within the ballpark of what's required, right? So I'll save this to my desktop, and now there's much less risk of me losing this. So I start with this manual cover page. The next thing I'll do is I'll just simply move to a second page by tabbing, hitting the enter key a couple times. All right, I'll do this just to add a couple pages. There's an easier way. I could have hit Control Enter and insert the pages, but I chose to manually tab down to insert the page. All right, so I've got a cover page and I've got 2 blank pages. I will skip the second page and I'll go to the third page, and here what I'll do is I'll insert some headers. In this case, you should have inserted week 1 descriptive activity, week 1 reflection. Same for week 2, same for week 3. So I'll show you what I've got. So just let's say I'll make sure this is justified to the left, and I will select a header. I'll select a header and I'll call this week 1 descriptive activities. That note, this is a level 1 header. See, header 1. I hit my enter a couple times, put space there, and I will select header 2, and I have week 2 week 1 reflection. So what I have is a level 1 header as a descriptive activity, a level 2 header as my week 1 reflection. All right, now to make this simple, I will just highlight this, copy, and I will essentially insert another page, and I'll Control V, I paste. I'll change this to week 2, week 2. I'll do the same. I'll create the next page. Remember, each week begins on a separate page. I Control V, enter again, and I've got, this is week 3 reflection. I will save this document, and at base I have the most basic requirement. I have my cover page, I have a blank page, and I have week 1 descriptive activity, week 1 reflection, week 2 descriptive activity, week 2 reflection, week 3 descriptive activity, week 3 reflection. Again, most important thing to note here is this is a level 1 header. This is a level 2 header. In the first week, you introduced yourself and you learned how to insert random text. I will use random text for this illustration. So if you were required to insert random text in week 1 as a part of that activity. So that inserting random text was equal rand and the number of paragraphs. I'm going to use 2 paragraphs, and each paragraph with 5 sentences. So as you note, I have equal rand 2 paragraph, open parentheses, 2 paragraphs by 5 sentences each. I hit enter and my document automatically populates with the random text. That's one of the requirements that you were supposed to have done by following the instructions. I will do the same thing. I'm just going to copy this merely to show you what the document should look like. And so I'll do the same for my week 2 and week 3. I'm bringing this up, and I'll place my random text. I'll go to week 3. I'll bring this up. I'll add the random text, and I'll add the random text again. Now, you are required to insert an active table of content. You select that blank page. So you cover page, the page we left blank, and you simply go to reference. See, I'm on the reference tab. I go to table of content. I select that drop down and I select table of content, and that's what your table of content should look like. Now, in week 3, so I'll save this document, and in week 3, and this is, well, let's back up here for a minute. You have a cover page. Now you have an active table of content. What I mean by an active table of content, if I select control and I click on any one of this line, it should take me to that section of the document. All right. Now you notice my document is now slightly distorted because I inserted the table of content. So I'm going to come here, select, and I will essentially bring my text back up. So now each week begins on a new page. Week 1, week 2, and week 3. All right. Now in week 3, let me save that. In week 3, you are required to insert a section break, and you were also required to add a picture of your choice. That picture of choice should be between your reflection and because it's in your descriptive activity. All right. So to insert a section break, I was very specific. I gave you a graphic. You go to the layout tab and use this drop down where it says breaks, and I told you to insert a next page. Right? So let's just go back. Note where my cursor is. It's after the descriptive activity. It's inside the descriptive activity. I'll be inserting a section break before my reflection, but within my descriptive activity area. So I go to Layout tab, select the drop down for break, and I'm selecting next page. The reason I want you to select next page is you're able to rotate that specific page without distorting the rest of your document. If you select continuous, that's what will happen. So I select next page, and notice it pushes that down to the next page. All right. I'm going to push my reflection down slightly because what I want you were required to do is rotate this page, this specific page, to be landscape instead of portrait. And so we go to layout and see where it says orientation. I'm going to select the drop down tab and I select landscape, and it changes the format of every page after this section. Note that. All right. So you were required to insert a picture of your choice and add a little bit of text. This is my landscape document. I'm going to grab a picture from the internet. I can use the snippet tool. So I'm open snipping tool, and I'll go to new, and I'll go to the internet, and I'll grab just any random landscape. Let me get something that's nice. And I'll come back and I'll Control V. I insert that into my document. So I'll just, you were required to add some sort of information. Here we can just put, I'm just going to put random landscape. And that's the label. Now, after this, you were next required to insert another section break. That's what the instruction said. Insert another section break because we want to rotate this page back to portrait. See, this is portrait, this is landscape, this is still landscape. So to be able to modify this particular page, we need to insert a section break again. So back to my layout tab, select break, next page. This is important, not continuous, the next page option. And now I've inserted a section break after my random landscape, and I'll need to rotate this page back to portrait. And so your final document this is what your final document should, this is the appearance of your final document. Now, we have the cover page, the manual cover page. We have a table of content. We have week 1 descriptive activity, week 1 reflection, week 2 descriptive activity, week 2 reflection, week 3 descriptive activity. Here you have the portrait, the landscape image on the page that you rotated, and you demonstrate that you understand how to do this by inserting a section break, and you inserted another section break and rotate the reflection page back to the portrait position. Just in case we have pushed the reflection a couple pages down, so you should be able to come back to your content, table of content, right click on the table of content, see this option where it says update table, update field. You can left click on that and we say update either the page number or the entire table. As you work through, you're going to update the entire table. And so if I do that and it pushes it, what it does, it changes the week 3 reflection to page 7. Now, as you continue to work in this document into week 4, right? I'll enter. I'm going to enter create a second page because we'll be moving to Excel. So let's say this is my Excel week. We're in week 4 and you've worked somewhat in Excel. Let me save this and I'll grab open an Excel spreadsheet just so you have an idea what you should be doing. I'll open a blank spreadsheet and let's say you've added some numbers and you've practiced your Excel activities. And let's say you've learned to add columns, sum the columns. So we say equal. We're gonna sum these rows. I select them. I select OK, and my sum is 6. I transfer my formulas across. Let's say you practice centering your text on the page. You added borders, and because this is my total, let's say we insert some color and we make it bold. Now, because you're continuing, you may submit this as your Excel activity, but remember, this is the sample work that you've created, right? So you will need to insert this into your portfolio as your Excel activity as you continue working forward, right? So I will use my snipping tool, right? And this is what the snipping tool looks like. I select new, I come in and I will copy what I did and minimize that. And let's say I'm back in week 4. Remember, this is week 4. My week 4 should be week 4 descriptive activity, and that should be a header 1. So I say week 4 in my week 4 descriptive activity, I want to give an example. I'll tell you what I did. So in this case, I'm just going to use random text and I'll create one paragraph with 4 sentences. And here is my actual sample work. I'm going to Control V. I insert the Excel work that I did, and I will now, let's say I want to write my reflection. That should be a header 2 level, and I go week 4 reflection, and let's say I wrote my reflection. Just for argument's sake, I use the same information here. Make sure you save that document. And so now, if you note, my table of content has week 1, 2, 3. I just added week 4. So what you would need to do at this point is come back up to your table of content, right-click the mouse, update the table, update the entire table, select that option, and it includes the week 4. So now my document, save this document, and here we are. I've got a cover page, I've got a table of content. Note the format of my table of content, the level 1 header, level 2 each week. And what I can do, if I want to navigate this document, let's say I wanted to go down to see what's on my week 4 activities, I select the control button, depress the control, I simply move to the line, I click the left mouse, and it takes me to that section of the document. You'll do the same thing for PowerPoint. When you work through the PowerPoint, you will create a header. Let's just do that. In this case, I create a new page, right? A level 1 header for week 5, descriptive activities, all right? I can insert my description of what I did, and whatever it is that you did, you will post and insert a copy of that image into, let's say I made a sample PowerPoint. I will just go new. I go to my PowerPoint. I grab my image, and I'm explaining to you that I made this PowerPoint. If that was the case, I come back to my document and I will Control V. I've inserted my PowerPoint. If I want to center the PowerPoint, I just click on it. I move to my toolbar and I can move that document, that image around. If I want to expand on it, I grab the lower right and I make it larger. I need to insert my reflection. This is where I talk about what I learned and how I might use this. Your reflection should be a level 2 header. So that's where my cursor is. I select header 2 and I type week 5 reflection. Right? I make sure I save what I've done, and then I come look at my table of content. It has week 1 through 4. I just added week 5. I right click. When this dialog box pops up, I select left click, update the table. I click make sure the radial for update the entire table. Select that, click OK, and there we go. My table of content now shows week 1 through 5. I make sure I save that, and if I want to navigate to week 5, I depress the control key, I hold it, and I just simply select the line, left click the mouse, and it should take me to week 5 activity. My final portfolio as it stands has a cover page, an active table of content. Each week should be properly labeled, beginning on a separate page. So week 1, week 2, if week 1 extended past the to 2 or 3 pages, that's fine, just as long as week 2 descriptive activity begins on a separate page. Week 3, week 4, week 3, which is where we were, and week 3 reflection. Remember, this page is turned landscape. The reflection would be portrait, and I go to week 4 and week 5. You should be able to turn the page. That was the intent. Now, if you want to determine whether or not you have the correct section break, you can go to your toolbar, this little symbol here. Look at the toolbar. If you click that once, you turn on a visual to show you what you have. So if I click this symbol, which I did, you notice it says there is a section break, and this is a next page section break. I did use make the right selection, not a continuous, but a next page. Remember, I also did the same thing above that page. So here I have a section break that was the next page. So to make this work, I had a section break before I rotated the page. I had a section break after I rotated the page. So that allows me to change, to modify that single page in my document without messing with the entire document. These don't need to be on, so I'll turn them off. It's gone. I know this is what my final document looks like. I make sure I save it, and remember your file name, last name, first initials, the course, the week that you're in, and the assignment, core assignment. If you have questions, play this video as many times as you want. Remember, in a 8 weeks course, you have 17 dedicated hours that you're supposed to allot to this course each week. The videos were 12 hours. The total entire media file was 12 hours, which means you could have watched that video in a single week and still have time to do the work. Each module is about 4 hours long. That's only 1 week worth of work. You have 13 hours after you've watched and practiced the video to dedicate to building the portfolio and demonstrating that you learn these steps and you can do good work. Have fun. Let me know if you have any questions.